Hi guys, and welcome to another video. In this video we'll learn all about grids in depth. So let's hop inside. The grids are there to help us to align objects and to make objects with design straight or more precise, more exact, etc. Also, it's there to help us to make it a global dimensions or global measurements that wouldn't be like on the half a pixel or half a millimeter. This just helps us to make numbers more straight out and more whole numbers. So let's see how it all works. As you can see, I don't have any grid, any rulers, no anything. To enable a grid, go to View and choose Show Grid, or you can press the shortcut over there. And once you've done that, you'll see this whole grid appear. It may look quite messy or overwhelming, but sometimes it's quite usable. Now, once I choose to create a shape, you can see this grid isn't allowing anything. I can do it on half a grid. I can move these just over there. As you can see, this is just halfway through the grid. It's not snapping onto any grid. You could do it like this because it still is convenient. You can draw lines like just over there, so you can choose how to do it. Or otherwise, you can always choose to snap to grid. To enable that, go to View, Snap to Grid, or under your properties panel you should have this icon and you can choose Snap to Grid. Also the hide or view grid, you can also enable it from there. If you don't have a properties panel, you can always go to Windows and choose properties from down there. Once you've got Snap to Grid on, you'll notice that I'm not able to move my square anymore to be in the middle of the point. So you can see I can't get it to be in the middle. It will automatically snap to a grid. Also, when I enlarge an object, so also will only allow me to enlarge it according to these grid lines which I've got over there. That's another tip. And when I use any of the tools, you can see it only allows me to draw along any of those grid lines. So I won't be able to put a dot, let's say right in the middle. I wouldn't be able to, even if I click there, it will automatically go to one of the points, and it just makes the shape look so much better at times if you're doing like vector art or logos and these kind of stuff. You would very much want to do that. If this grid is getting like too hectic for you, you could always choose to hide the grid either by the properties panel or under View and Hide Grid. Notice that my Snap to Grid is still on, so I don't have to actually see the grid in order to enable it. You can see it still is snapping to the invisible grid over there. And also if I choose to draw, as you can see, it just went down there even though I clicked over there. And once again, if I click, let's say here, so it will go to the next closest place. So it's just as well the same. If you're using logos and it's too hectic for you, you can always choose to hide the grid while the Snap to Grid is still on, and you'll be able to get just as well the same results. Custom made grids by using the grid tool. So it should be under this like line segment tool. Then you would have a rectangle grid tool. You can create a grid over the whole artboard using the arrow keys up. You can add more lines, and the right key you can add more vertical lines, so you can add however many you want, or pressing the down arrow keys or the left arrow keys will make it less or more. You can leave go when you're happy with that. Just by the way, obviously you can create this grid from anything you want. You can create your own lines or anything. I'm just showing you the quickest way. We'll go into all using these tools a lot more later on. Then you go under View, Guides, Make Guides. We learned that in the last lesson. You can always choose to lock these guides, and you would have your own custom made grid. It may be convenient just deleting that if you want to do, let's say, guides in a circle or any of that sort. Once again, I'm pressing my top arrow and right arrow keys to add these lines there. That will be for a circular, say, logo or something. Then you can hold down shift as well to make it stay a complete circle, and leave go anywhere. Then you go to view, guides, make guides, and you'll get these guides over there. The only thing you don't have about this is snap to grid wouldn't work on this guide thing because it's a guide and it's not actually a grid. And as you can see, I can draw right in the middle of that and it doesn't snap to any of these grid lines I created here. So that's that. Now to change the settings, let me just delete this grid here and all these stuff. To change any of the settings of the guides, go to edit, preferences, or under a Mac it should be under Illustrator, preferences, and choose guide and grids. Guides we learned about last lesson, and this time we going under grids. You can choose your color from here or any of these preset colors. Let's keep to magenta. Then you can choose between the style, either lines or dots. I don't really recommend you use dots because it's not very visible on the document. Sorry, it's not even visible, the grid. Let's just make it visible. View, show grid. Now we'll see what we're talking about. Edit preferences, guides and grids. And we'll keep this under light gray. It looks neater. Grid lines every 25 millimeters. You can obviously customize this to anything. You can see this big square. Sorry about this pink bright color. You can choose this big square, how big will it be, or how much. So personally, I like choosing a 25 millimeters because it's just a lot easier to work out and to make it straight dimensions when you're using transform tools, etc. It's just a lot easier. You know, if you double it by 4, you'll get to 100 or it's all of that. And subdivisions, you can choose however many you want. Here's a cool tip. If you want to see your lines very clearly, as you can see, let's just press OK so we'll see it in gray. When I zoom up, so these lines aren't very visible. If you want to make these lines thicker, there is a sort of trick you can do here. Go to guides and grids and choose every, say, 5 and no subdivisions. So that's in 0, okay. And you'll get these grids to appear in a dark color because it's the grid itself without any subdivisions. So it might be quite hectic on one hand, but it could be slightly easier. You can always just change it back. Just put it 25 and 10. Grids in back, I think you would normally want that. That shouldn't be in front of your object. Show pixel grid above 600 zoom. It doesn't really make a difference if you check that or not, because you'll anyway not see the pixel grid unless you choose to see it under view pixel preview. Only if you check that, then you'll see the pixel preview once you go over 600. So you can see there 800, that's what I'm seeing it, and 400 I can't see anything. Once I zoom up a bit closer, I'm holding Alt and scrolling with my mouse to zoom in and zoom out. It's just the fastest way of zooming in, I think. So as you can see, when I zoom, these stuff in the middle, these are the pixels. We'll learn about that in some other lesson. You don't have to worry about that, so for the time being you can just uncheck that there. So there you go, that's all about the grids. Now you can see that this snaps to the pixel and it makes life a lot easier and more convenient. Let's just give this like a fill. There is another option of another type of grid. Hide this grid, I'm hiding it there. It's called the see-through grid, I think, something like that. And the view, show transparency grid. So you can check that from there. Otherwise you can always go to your properties panel and choose this transparency grid. This has absolutely nothing to do with the last grid we learned, and it doesn't snap to this grid unless obviously you've chosen to snap to grid. But once again, it's not snapping to this grid even if you choose to snap to grid. Essentially does is it just shows anything that's transparent, or if you're exporting it as a PNG or any of the transparent options which support transparent backgrounds. So that might be helpful because you can notice what won't be transported and what will be. So as you can see, this is transparent and this is not. You can always change this transparent grid to look different under document setup, or in the properties panel you can go to document setup over there and you can change the color and size and all of that in this properties panel. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you gained. If you gained anything, please give a like and subscribe, and also leave your tips and comments so I know what to give and what to speak about in the next course. Thank you so much, see you in the next video.